So when it comes to the sport of mixed martial arts, I'd like to believe that these different criteria of fans who are introduced to the sport. And let's be honest, let's call it UFC, because besides Demetrius Johnson, who else do you know in 1FC? Besides Francis Ngannou, who else do you know in the PFL? Besides Usman Nurmagomedov, who else do you know in Bellator? Now, my apologies if you do know more than 5 people in those respective organizations, but the monopoly that the UFC has over MMA just has it so that the majority of us know the casuals in UFC more than the superstars in these other organizations. But that's besides the point. What I was trying to say is that there are certain people who were introduced to the UFC at different points in history. And some of the key points were maybe during the pandemic when Dana White was so aggressive with marketing the UFC and keeping it alive when every other sport was not being shown, and therefore there were a lot of eyeballs on mixed martial arts / the UFC. Hence, you had Kamaru Usman versus Masvidal doing 1 million pay-per-views. It was like, oh, Kamaru's now this big star because he sold 1 million pay-per-views. But the conditions allowed for such a thing to happen. And then you have those who have been fans since the early days. You know, they are the Chuck Liddell, Tito Ortiz fans, you know, the OG fans who were watching UFC when UFC was barely making profit. And then you get those like me, who we became fans of the sport at the same time as the rise of Conor McGregor. Now, I'm one of the few people who can admit that I was an OG Conor McGregor fan. And yes, now it's cool to be like, I was never a Conor McGregor fan. I never liked Conor McGregor. But let's be honest, when Conor McGregor came back to the UFC to fight Khabib, that fight was made even bigger because it was Conor McGregor. When Conor McGregor came back to fight Dustin Poirier, we all believed, actually, scratch that, when Conor McGregor came back and fought Cowboy Cerrone, a lot of us were, you know, we felt as though this could be the second run of the Conor McGregor magic that we got to experience during the first ride before he went to fight Floyd Mayweather. And when he finished Cowboy Cerrone so quick, we're like, yes, Conor's back. And then he goes on to fight Dustin Poirier, and Dustin makes it look easy, and Dustin shows that, hey, I'm not the same Dustin that you fought down at featherweight. But there was a bit of hope during that Dustin trilogy, or the second and third fight. We're just hoping maybe Conor could ignite that Conor that we once knew and appreciated. And to be fair, that was blind ignorance, and subsequent events have now shown that Conor McGregor is not who he was, or the person who he once was. And you know, there's this saying that says that money will reveal your true nature. Money will take out the true nature of a person. It will reveal who they really are. And that phrase cannot be more truer than with Conor McGregor. Conor McGregor was someone who does not come for money. He is someone who did not come for money. He was living off of his girlfriend at the time's paycheck, living with his parents, collecting unemployment checks because he didn't want to be a plumber. He was the guy who was trying to make this dream of becoming an international star, a UFC champion come to fruition. But the thing with Conor McGregor is that once he saw the money, his focus shifted from becoming the greatest fighter in the world, which was something he wanted to be, to becoming the most wealthiest fighter or the most wealthiest person. Hence, when he sold his alcohol company, he was extremely ecstatic at the fact that he was now, I think, the number one or the richest athlete for that year according to Forbes, and he bragged about it. Or when he made the top 10 or top 20 for the first time after fighting Floyd Mayweather, and he was like, I'm one day gonna be number one. It was, you could see the motivator for Conor McGregor was financial. And as he got richer and richer, his ambition within the octagon decreased and diminished, and we started to see a side of Conor McGregor many people were a bit shocked to see, because all we had seen before was the Conor McGregor who would have the Oprah or Shakespeare quotes, you know, and he would have these quotables, and you'd be like, yeah, this dude motivates me. Like back then, every motivational video that dealt in combat and had maybe a UFC fighter revolved around Conor McGregor's sayings. Whatever Conor McGregor would say, how his documentary, the notorious documentary, not the Netflix one, but the one before that, when that came out, people saw that as motivation. Conor McGregor was that dude. Everybody was like, oh, this dude motivates me to want to be better. And now we see Conor McGregor, and he is a complete shell of himself. And we should have seen the initial signs when he threw that whatever it was on the bus that Khabib was on and hurt all those people and came with 20 goons to attack Khabib. But the UFC used it as marketing. They were like, listen, Conor McGregor is trying to protect his people, trying to protect Artem Lobov. This is Conor McGregor. This fight will be big. And he did well. Sold 2.4 million pay-per-views. But now we have a situation where Conor McGregor is Conor McGregor. He is involved in a court hearing, and this is something that, listen, if Conor McGregor did this, then he deserves the full. If Conor McGregor is proven guilty, he deserves every single consequence and punishment that is coming his way. If you are speaking for Conor McGregor and like, no, defending him, then what the hell are you doing, man? I mean, fans will turn around and say John Jones is a wife beater, he doesn't deserve to be called the GOAT, he cheated, etc., etc. But when it's Conor McGregor, you wanna turn a left eye. And I think we're at a point where people are now fans of the UFC and not fans of athletes, to the point where people now can critique athletes. If you have an athlete who you really loved and you appreciated and you find out that they were a shitty person, then you will disregard your affiliation for the athlete and call them out on the nonsense that they've done because you are a fan of the sport. It's no longer, I'm a fan of Khabib, and if Khabib does wrong, then I will always be a Khabib fan. No, man, come on. There are situations where people are extreme stands and they're delusional and they believe that their favorite fighter can do no wrong. I mean, it's a bit crazy, but that's besides the point. So this article here that I'm reading from the Irish Examiner says a woman who broke down during the second day of her evidence against Conor McGregor and another man from whom she is seeking damages for an alleged rape has told the court that the MMA star was choking her and said she believed she was going to die and thought of her daughter. So for those of you who don't want to, I'm not going to read the whole thing. You guys can go read about it for yourself and go figure out, learn what's happening. But just to summarize it, apparently Conor McGregor invited this lady. They had the white, you know what I'm saying? They had some of the white. He invited her over to a room. He told her to get down on her knees and give him what he wants, and she refused. And then she was like, no. And then he put her down. He forced her down. This might be a bit too much details. If I don't know. Some of you guys might be sensitive to this information or this description, but he eventually forced himself onto the lady, and now she is coming. The full retribution is coming against Conor McGregor. Justice is now on its, I don't even know what the fuck to say, but justice is in motion. And this goes back to the original point I was trying to make. Conor McGregor is someone who, he got money. Am I certain that the money revealed who Conor McGregor is? No, I'm not certain about that. But what I am certain about is that Conor McGregor got to a point where he was no longer at the epitome of the sport that he loved, and therefore he started looking for glory in different areas in life. He maybe started looking for it in dominance, in proving that he is superior, in doing things that he should not be doing, you know what I'm saying, looking for that high that he once had. There is, many people will not understand, but fighters do get a high. There's a high that comes, not even fighters, elite athletes, they get a high. There's a high in being regarded as the best, being appreciated by fans, being adored, being seen as this symbol of excellence, going from 0 to 100. Hence, it's very rare that people who reach the highest of positions in the world tend to have a squeaky clean track record. There's always dirt under the carpet, and some people are just better hiding it than others. And listen, Conor McGregor, for as rich as he is, I actually feel extremely sad for the lady who is the victim in this, and I hope she gets justice. Man, it's sad. It's sad to see what Conor McGregor has become. If this is all true, then he deserves the full might of the court. I hope that his financial powers or his financial muscles do not get him out of this, because that would just be unfair and unjust to the lady who is the victim in this scenario. And yeah, man, listen, sometimes the people you adore and appreciate aren't really who they are. Thanks for watching. Enjoy your day.